Sky News can reveal, Kieran, that the government is actively considering imposing mandatory minimum sentences for terrorist offences in this country and for such devices as Nazi symbols or giving a Nazi salute. You'll recall Peter Dutton has come up with the proposal for a minimum sentence of 6 years for all acts of terrorism and between 1 and 5 years for displaying prohibited terrorist organisation symbols, Nazi symbols, or for giving a Nazi salute. My understanding is the government is actively considering proposals very similar to this. And government sources have indicated to me there's a big announcement coming shortly. I'm not sure if it's in relation to this. We know the Prime Minister's getting up in about an hour, but my understanding, Kieran, is that this is the situation. The government is looking to adopt a proposal similar to Peter Dutton's, I guess, as the Prime Minister has been under a lot of pressure for not acting strongly enough in relation to the wave of anti-Semitic attacks we've seen in Sydney and Melbourne. And I believe the government's about to act on it, and that not every Labor MP is happy with this or will be happy with this, because mandatory minimums is something the Labor Party generally tends to try and avoid.
And this has been an issue since October 7, the wave of anti-Semitism, this terrible scourge we've seen. And then you've got this extraordinary move from Donald Trump, which again turns, as Chris Uhlmann rightly points out, this really turns on its head the status quo when it comes to dealing with the Middle East, including ideas like the two-state solution and so on, that the US will own, operate and run the Gaza. So then you think, how does that all flow into this other sort of boiling issue?
It's not a bad time to put the penalties in, you'd think, because you pointed out this could trigger some unrest here. And I think, it's an extraordinary time for Richard Marles to go over there, given this announcement. And it is a difficult one for the Prime Minister. He's going to have to scramble in the next hour to come up with an Australian position on this, because he's sure as heck going to get asked about it. And look, I mean, it reminds me of Iraq, but it's an even bigger move, isn't it? And we all saw how Iraq ended up after, we've won the war. Wasn't it great after that? A lot of American soldiers died. It just doesn't work. I mean, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, keep going. But this is talking about owning and operating. It's not just talking about, backing some other government or trying to install a democratic system. This is over and above that. That's what makes it as extraordinary as you've described it.